Board of Regents, State of Iowa for May 11th, 2023 will come to order. I'll begin by calling the roll. Regent Dunkel.
Here.
Regent Barker.
Here.
Regent Crow.
Here.
Regent Rouse.
Here.
Regent Bates.
Here.
Regent Lindemeyer.
Here.
Regent Kramer.
Here.
Regent Reiswick.
Here.
Regent Richards is present. We have a quorum and the meeting can proceed. This time I'd like to recognize Brad Berg from the Board of Regents office.
Thank you, President Richards and members of the board. Before you today is the first reading of the proposed tuition and mandatory fees for the 2023-24 academic year. The second and final reading is scheduled for the June meeting, and we plan to hear from the student leaders at that time as well. The proposed base undergraduate resident tuition increases include a 3.5% increase at each of the three universities, and that amounts to $305 at the University of Iowa, $304 at Iowa State, and $285 at UNI. The docket also includes varying rate proposals to the other student categories, such as non-residents, graduate and professional students, and differential rates for certain higher cost programs. Also included is an itemized list of the mandatory fee proposals for each university. And with that, I would be happy to respond to any questions you may have.
Regent Barker.
I was just going to point out that our increase in undergraduate resident tuition is 3.5%, which is well below the most recent inflation numbers, which are running close to 5%. Below the most recent increase in Iowa personal income per capita, that's about 7.4%. Below the most recent median household income numbers in Iowa, which is about 5.2%. So, I mean, we're continuing to be affordable for middle-class Iowans. We're actually, in real terms, after inflation, we're cutting tuition because our increase is less than the inflation rate.
Any other comments or questions about the tuition? Just one thing, the headline number is always the undergraduate tuition, everybody, but again, I don't know how many there are. I did count last year. This year there was like 120 or something variations of it. So would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, there's a full matrix at the back of the document that shows all of the individual rates and student categories, as well as a complete listing of the mandatory fees that are applicable to each one of those.
And then just to state, we have our first reading today and we don't vote on anything today.
Right. No vote is required of the board today.
That's the first reading. And then when we are at the board meeting, the rate is either that number or it could be lower, it can't be higher. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions from Brett? Thank you, Brett. At this time, I'd like to recognize Andrea Anania from the Board of Regents office.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. The Common and University Program specific fees contains a list of additional miscellaneous fees that students pay only if they use those services. Each charge covers the direct cost of providing that particular service. Common fees are those fees that two or three charge, and the university's program specific fees are individual to that specific university. All proposed changes for the next academic year are on pages 2 through 6. They're highlighted blue, and justifications are on the remaining pages.
Are there questions or comments? I think we've all had a lot of time to go over those. So
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. And by the way, it's the same for the fees. It's not final today. That's proposed. Okay. At this time, I'd like to recognize Mark Braun, Board of Regents Executive Director, who will have a few comments.
Before you today are the appointments to committees and boards and commissions. Board policy manual requires the board ratify the appointments made by the president. Be happy to answer any questions.
With no further questions, for this, a motion and a second are required to ratify the appointments to the committees, boards and commissions as described in the docket memo. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll
Regent
second.
Barker and Regent Bates is second. Any further discussion? We'll have a roll call vote on this. Regent Bates,
Yes.
Regent Crowe,
Yes.
Regent Rouse,
Yes.
Regent Dunkel,
Yes.
Regent Kramer,
Yes.
Regent Lindemeyer,
Yes.
Regent Barker,
Yes.
Regent Risewood,
Yes.
Regent Richards votes yes, the motion is approved. At this time, the board has necessity to meet in closed session for the following reasons. A, in accordance with Iowa Code Sections 21.5.1.a to review and discuss confidential student and personal records. These records are authorized or required to be maintained as confidential in accordance with Iowa Code 22.7.1 and 11 and federal law, and B, in accordance with Iowa Code Sections 21.5.1.c to discuss strategy with counsel and in matters that are presently in litigation or where litigation is imminent and the premature disclosure would likely prejudice or disadvantage the position of the board. At the conclusion of the closed session, the board will reconvene in open session. Is there a motion the board enter into closed session?
Motion.
Regent Rice,
Second.
Regent Lindemeyer seconded. Any further discussion? We'll have a roll call vote. Regent Bates,
Yes.
Regent Rouse,
Yes.
Regent Kramer,
Yes.
Regent Lindemeyer,
Yes.
Regent Barker,
Yes.
Regent Crowe,
Yes.
Regent Dunkel,
Yes.
Regent Risewood,
Yes.
Regent Richards votes yes, the motion is approved. And now, when we are ready for closed session, let us know, please.